What would you do if the person you were about to marry vanished all night and came back acting like you were the problem for noticing? Because that's how this started. Not with a scream. Not with a fight. But with silence. Hours of it. I remember staring at my phone at 2:47 a.m., refreshing messages that weren't coming, telling myself not to overthink. He said he'd be out for a bit. Just space. Just air. That's normal, right? But here's the thing no one tells you about trust. It doesn't shatter all at once. It erodes. Quietly. Minute by minute. By morning, my fiancé walked through the door like nothing happened. No apology. No explanation worth giving. Just one sentence, delivered flat and final. I needed space. Don't question me. And I almost didn't. Almost. But something about the way he said it felt rehearsed. Too clean. Too controlled. As if the story had been practiced long before the night even began. Have you ever felt that moment? When your instincts whisper before your brain can catch up. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I didn't accuse him of anything. Instead, I did one small thing I never expected would expose everything. And when I saw what was on my screen, I realized this night wasn't about space at all. Have you ever noticed how the longest nights aren't loud, they're quiet? I replayed the timeline in my head while he showered, while the water ran like nothing was wrong. Midnight. 1 a.m. 2. Each hour stretching longer than the last. I sent one text. Then another. Both unread. I told myself his phone died. That he fell asleep at a friend's place. That I was being dramatic. Funny how our brains protect the people we love. When he finally came out, towel slung low, he looked relaxed. Rested. Not like someone who'd spent the night stressed or pacing or needing space. That detail lodged itself in my chest and wouldn't move. I asked where he went. He didn't hesitate. That was the first red flag. He named a friend. Said they talked. Said it was late. Said he didn't want to get into it. Then he added the line that shut the conversation down completely. Don't question me. Not, please trust me. Not, I'll explain later. Just a command. Have you ever had someone talk to you like that and suddenly feel smaller in your own home? I nodded. I said okay. I even apologized for worrying. And that's the part that still makes my stomach turn. Because the moment he turned away, something inside me shifted. I didn't feel reassured. I felt curious. Coldly curious. And without fully admitting it to myself, I opened an app one hadn't touched in months. I wasn't looking for proof. But I found it anyway. Have you ever tapped a screen expecting relief and felt your heart drop instead? The Uber app opened faster than I expected. My hands were steady, which surprised me. No shaking. No panic. Just a quiet focus, like my body already knew something my mind was still resisting. There it was. Last trip. I told myself it would match his story. A friend's address. A familiar street. Something boring enough to close the app and laugh at myself later. It didn't. The destination wasn't a house. It was a hotel. I stared at the name, blinking like that might change it. It didn't. And then my eyes dropped to the account holder. The reservation wasn't under his name. It was under hers. Not a stranger. Not a coincidence. A name I recognized instantly. Someone from his past. Someone he'd sworn was irrelevant. Gone. Ancient history. Have you ever felt your stomach hollow out without making a sound? I checked the details again. Pickup time. Route. Drop-off. Everything lined up too perfectly. Too clean. This wasn't a detour. It was a plan. I didn't confront him. Not yet. I took a screenshot. Then another. I saved it to my phone like evidence, because that's exactly what it felt like. He was in the kitchen by then, humming like the world was intact. Like I hadn't just watched our future collapse into a blue and white app interface. And that's when I realized something terrifyingly calm. The night wasn't the betrayal. The lie afterward was. Have you ever watched someone lie to you with complete confidence because they think you don't know? We sat across from each other at the kitchen table like it was any other morning. Coffee cooling. Sunlight cutting through the blinds. Normality trying to hold its ground. He talked first. Complained about traffic. About being tired. About how I'd overreacted the night before. He laughed once, lightly, like that should reset everything. I let him finish. Then I asked him, calmly, to tell me again where he went. Same story. Same friend. Same tone. No cracks. So I reached for my phone. I didn't slam it down. I didn't raise my voice. I slid it across the table, face up, and watched his eyes drop to the screen. The Uber receipt. The hotel name. Her name. The timestamp. He went silent. Not defensive. Not angry. Just empty. Like the words had evaporated mid-thought. His mouth opened, then closed. He swallowed. Once. Twice. That silence told me more than any confession ever could. Have you ever felt power shift without anyone standing up? He tried to laugh it off. Said it was a misunderstanding. That he could explain. That the app must be wrong. But his hands were shaking now. And he wouldn't meet my eyes. I didn't interrupt. I didn't argue. Because in that moment, I wasn't angry. I was done listening. And what I said next or didn't say would decide whether this conversation ended quietly or burned everything to the ground. Have you ever realized the truth isn't loud, it's precise? I pointed at the timestamp. Not the hotel name. Not her name. The time. The one detail he couldn't talk his way around. He said he left his friend's place just after midnight. The Uber receipt said 10:18 p.m. The route showed no stops. No detours. Straight from our apartment to the hotel. 2 stories. 1 timeline. Only one could be real. He started talking fast then. Too fast. Words tumbling over each other. He said he needed space, but didn't want to be alone. Said nothing technically happened. Said it wasn't what it looked like. Funny how lies always shrink once they're cornered. I asked him a simple question. If it was harmless, why tell me not to question you? He didn't answer. He reached for my hand instead, like physical contact could rewrite facts. I pulled away. Gently. That movement seemed to hit him harder than anything I'd said. In that moment, I wasn't heartbroken. I was clear. Clear that trust doesn't survive commands. Clear that honesty doesn't require silence. Clear that the man in front of me was more afraid of being caught than of losing me. I stood up, picked up my phone, and walked toward the bedroom. He followed, asking what I was doing, telling me we could fix this, promising explanations I no longer wanted, because I wasn't going to ask another question. I was about to make a decision he hadn't prepared for. Have you ever noticed how quickly clarity feels like peace? I packed a small bag, not in a rush, not with shaking hands. Just the things I needed for the night. When I walked back into the living room, he was standing there like he'd been waiting for permission to panic. I told him I wasn't leaving because of the hotel, or the Uber, or even her. I was leaving because of the moment he told me not to question him. Because love doesn't demand silence. Trust doesn't survive intimidation. And a future can't be built on instructions to look away. He tried one last time. Apologies. Promises. Tears that came too late to matter. I listened, calmly, the way you do when a decision has already settled. At the door, I paused. Not for him. For myself. For the version of me who almost believed I was overreacting. If this story feels familiar, ask yourself something honestly. When did you stop questioning, and who benefited from that? Sometimes it isn't the betrayal that ends everything. It's the moment you realize you deserve answers and you're done asking.